If I had to think of a lazy Saturday afternoon movie throughout the 90s, The Goonies would probably be the first one that comes to mind. That movie is pure popcorn. And hey, that's what we talk about on this channel. Welcome to Popcorn and Vinyl, the show dedicated to films, film score, and vinyl. And today we are talking about the 2021 Record Store Day release of The Goonies. Now, full disclosure, this was sent to me by Varese Sarabande for review. However, this is not a sponsored video and the opinions are my own. Now, this was originally on my shopping list when I did see the Record Store Day drop, and I just thought it was an interesting release that seemed like a lot of fun. Like so many people my age, I have a strong nostalgic connection to this movie. So anytime there's something released related to it, I'm sure to be interested in it. This particular release is the first ever picture disc release, with the album cover featured on one side and One-Eyed Willie on the other. This single LP features tracks selected by the composer himself, David Grusin. So what that means is it's not the complete score. These are just selected cues from the film. The music, again, to use that term, is pure popcorn. This is 80s adventure movie making at its finest. The music paints the perfect portrait of 80s childhood adventure type movies, but without sounding too kid-y, if that makes sense. You know, you could probably transplant this score into an Indiana Jones or a Pirates of the Caribbean. And in fact, there are a couple of passages that are sort of reminiscent of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, especially with that opening track with the Fratelli chase. It has some resemblance to that, Indiana Jones vibe. The score is an exuberant, lively orchestral score with just a little bit of peppering of some electronic synths. It sounds just a little bit 80s, but not overly 80s, so it doesn't sound too dated as you're listening to it. The music is really playful throughout. It has a lot of self-aware references. It has some references to Psycho in there. The music navigates between swashbuckling adventure, mystery, melancholy, pure fright. And it balances all those together so nicely to have this, really cohesive and fun score. Overall, the score is perfectly suited to the film, really capturing all those different, primary emotions, but really just serving to drive the energy and pace throughout this adventure. As for this release, this was a run of 3,000, but do note there was a previous release, which was the full soundtrack release, or I think it was a complete track with 34 tracks on a double LP. So if you want the absolute full experience, you could try to look for that. But this still really does give you a sense of most of the cues throughout the film. You don't really feel like you are missing a lot on this one, so this is a nice kind of sampler of all the material that you would expect to find from the film. Being a picture disc, it does come in this clear plastic sleeve with just a little bit of a small cardboard sleeve. Obviously, this presentation is meant to show off the picture disc, and it is very impressive looking and cool, especially the One-Eyed Willie side. I really like that one. But if it was my choice, I still have a preference for a proper cardboard jacket. I'm not one to really display my records, and I would prefer more elaborate artwork, as there's a lot that can be done with this release. But this is kind of a standard for a lot of picture discs. As for sound quality, it's no secret that picture discs typically don't sound the best. And with this one, there was a little bit of surface noises, especially during some of the quiet passages or in between tracks, but the rest of the time it wasn't that noticeable. As for kind of the mix or just how it sounded, it did lack a dimensionality. It didn't have that kind of oomph and presence like other records. And actually, this is my second picture disc. I don't really listen to them very often, so I wasn't sure what to expect. But it sounded okay. If I had to describe it, it would sound a little bit like a compressed MP3. So it'll be up to you whether that's a significant factor in choosing to get that. This is not an audiophile pressing, but really this is for a very different target audience, and I think if you are getting this, you are well aware of what the ramifications of that is. You kind of get it for different reasons, for the novelty versus that audiophile sound quality. So who is this not for? Well, it's not for that purist audiophile type collector who wants all of the music, all of the accoutrement with liner notes and, elaborate artwork. If that's you, that previous pressing is probably one you'll want to seek out. So who is this record for? Well, this is just a fun release. This is for a casual fan of the film who really wants, a solid taste of the music in this film and really just kind of go back and experience just a little bit of the movie or the music of the movie, separate from the film in a fun kind of packaging. This is for somebody that doesn't require absolute every cue from the film. And really, this is just a ticket to nostalgia. So definitely recommend to pick it up if you fall under that category of listener or collector. So there we have our look at the Record Store Day release of the Goonies. And I would love to know in the comments kind of what's your style. Do you want that full record with all the fixins and all the tracks? Or do you just want this kind of fun release that gives you a great taste of the music and offers a fun way to experience that? I'll be covering more Record Store Day releases in the coming days, including another one from the first drop, but some more from the second drop as well. So be sure you're subscribed to catch those, and we'll see you in a far, far away land very soon.